What's up everybody? Today I am back tying a new jig for you. This one I call the skeleton jig. It utilizes resin and wire to give a bony look and make this jig look like a clear minnow basically. It's really cool. So let's get started. So I like to tie this one on a 1/16 ounce unpainted minnow head. So I've just put a 2mm eyes on there. I'm just going to use a white thread so it's kind of hard to see through the resin. So we're just going to start that thread behind the head and take it just a little bit past the point of the hook. For the tail we're going to be using this rooster saddle hackle. I've prepared this in a way that it looks like a minnow tail. So you basically strip some of the fibers back on either side of the stem and you can make it look like a tail. We're just going to tie that in right there at the end of the hook. And you want to line it up so that it looks like a tail from the side. So we're just going to tie that in tightly all the way up to the head and then trim the excess stem. Bring our thread back down to the tail. And you want to make sure it's nice and secure. You don't want it to slide out or break off. For the body, we're going to be using this black wire. This is ultra wire in medium size. So we're just going to take a piece of that, tie it in at the head, and bring it down to the tail. And this will give us our really cool skeleton look of this bait fish. So tie that in nice and tight. Take your time to make sure you get it right where you want it. Then we're going to use some of this flash. This is just flashabou. This will mimic the innards of a minnow. They're kind of flashy on the inside. So we're going to tie in a few of those fibers. Make sure it's nice and tight. And then we're going to go over it one more time with our thread just to make sure everything is tied down and it's nice and even. You want to cover the wire and that flashabou with the thread. Bring our thread back up to the head. And now we are going to wrap our flashabou. So we're just going to cover all the thread with that. Again, this is going to be used to mimic the innards of the minnow. Sometimes they have a flashy belly and flashy veins, and this will look really cool. So you want to keep constant tension on that flashabou. Make sure you're tying tight turns with no gaps all the way up to the head. Get your thread out of the way as needed. Again, it's important to keep this very tight. If you make it loose, there will be loops in the body, and you just want it to be nice and tight. Okay, once we got that up to the head, we're going to wrap it off. Secure that down with your thread. And then clip off the excess flashabou. And now we're going to whip finish. This will make sure that flashabou doesn't come undone as we do our wire. So that thread is nice and secure. Now we're going to do a layer of resin. So we're going to build up that body of that bait fish. You want to get a nice thick UV resin that you can build up and shape. If it's too thin, it will just be runny and it will just drop right off. You want to make sure you get thick so that you can really build it up. So we're just going to keep adding generous amounts of that resin all around the body. Make sure we keep turning it so that the resin doesn't build up in one spot. And we're going to have to do a few layers of this to keep it even. You can see as we apply the resin that the flashabou really shows through and all those colors really shine. That's exactly what we're looking for. Okay, that should be about enough for the first coat. Then we're just going to use our bodkin to shape the resin. Once you're happy with it, you can just keep turning that so it stays nice and even, doesn't glob up in one spot, and then hit it with the UV light. Once that's cured, we're going to take our wire and start wrapping that around. So we're just going to create the skeleton of this jig now. Just slow, even wraps. Take your time. Make sure you get it right. Wrap that all the way up to the head. And now we're going to start our thread just so we can secure that wire down. Don't want too much, just enough to secure it. Alright, wrap the wire the rest of the way up and then you can tie it down with your thread. And then you can helicopter that wire off. It's the easiest way to clip it without damaging scissors, and it will break off right at the body of the jig. Okay, now we're going to wet finish again, and this will be the last time we use our thread. The rest is just going to be resin. Once that's nice and tight, you can clip it off. Now we're going to do another layer of resin. Just build it up slowly. You can adjust your jig in the vise as needed if it starts to glob up in certain spots to keep it even. Now we're going to use our bodkin to manipulate this into the shape we want. I want it to have a little bit of a belly, so I'm going to add a little bit extra to the bottom there. Now I'm going to hit it with the UV light. And as you can see, that's really taking shape. It's looking a lot more like a baitfish now. Alright, and for the final coat of resin, just build that up all over the body once again. Again, I want it to have a little bit of a belly. And then hit it with the UV light for the final time. And as you can see, that looks like the skeleton of a baitfish. It's pretty much just a coil of wire trapped inside of resin, but it gives a really cool effect of a transparent fish. So yeah, I had a lot of fun coming up with this one. I hope you give it a try. If you're on any of Facebook groups or anything of jig tying, I'd like to see your interpretations of this. There's a lot of different possibilities with colors, different shapes, and I would just love to see what you come up with. Now I'm gonna go test this out, see if we can catch a fish or two. Big old crappie. Nice fish. Toss him back. Good fish. Let me grab the jig. There it is. That's what he took. Beautiful fish. Let's throw him back. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. We will see you next time.